Your
Yeah.
Honor, let it be shown that I am rubber and he is in fact glue.
Hello, fellow netizens, and welcome to Scandalous Games, the show where we take a closer look at video game related controversies. I'm Kevin Impellizeri, and I do the research and share a story of a video game related controversy to my friends.
I'm Kate. I've been writing software for over 10 years, but not the fun kind.
And we are joined today by a special guest, Jay Brandstetter from the amazing podcast I'm From the Internet. Jay, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. This rules. Like I've been into video games so long. When I was in eighth grade and we had our history fair, I did it on Nintendo instead of like real history. And this was back before teachers would let you cite websites. So I had like 3 books about video games I could use. It was very, very difficult. So I respect a lot of the work that you do because I know how hard it is to do like actual academic research on game history.
I do remember coming from a time where it's like when I started doing my dissertation research, like you got a lot of funny looks from the older academics. But what I love about it is like one of the fun things is like even when they give you kind of weird looks, oh, you're doing video games, everybody had a story. Like I would talk to like, older professors, like I remember in the 80s, like this bar we used to go to and playing like Galaxian or something like that. It's weird to come up through that, like and have it see like eventually it became like an established thing people research.
Yeah, that has been a fun progression over the course of my life. Like when I was 6, I dressed up as Mario for Halloween, and my mom had to make the costume, and none of the adults knew who I was. They're like, "Are you some kind of carpenter or something?" And now, like everybody knows who Mario is. He's like more popular than Mickey Mouse. It's just been very fun watching it kind of go from that. That's all part why I like your show so much. It's fun to remember. Yeah, people used to be really wild about video games. Like I always love. I think in Game Over they have a quote about Mario where it's like, "In the world of Mario, it's kill or be killed." Like seeing people talk about like children's entertainment, like it's so edgy and subversive is so much fun.
In the grim darkness of the Mushroom Kingdom, there is only war. So why don't you share a little bit about your show? I think that a lot of people who listen to this, I think would love what you're doing over at I'm From the Internet.
Yeah, and Kevin has shouted us out a couple times, which is very fun. But yeah, my show's called I'm From the Internet. I co-host it with a comedian and game designer named Winslow Dumaine. If you remember the Chicago rat hole from the news a couple years ago, he's the guy who kind of blew that up. So it's so he does a lot of fun things. So he invented the Gatorade should be thicker meme. If you've ever seen a bumper sticker with that in a car, that's his. And we talk about internet history. It's narrative-based internet history where it's more like we find a story very similar to this one. I research it. I'm the subject matter expert, and Winslow is the person who's hearing it for the first time and reacting. It's very behind the bastards or the dollop. And I do feel you to clarify, I'm an internet historian, but I'm not like an accredited one. Since Kevin actually has a PhD, I feel the need to delineate that I am not a professional qualified internet historian. I'm just somebody who likes internet history and talking about it.
I think the internet has allowed everyone to be, though, an expert in their subject field without necessarily needing, a 3 letters after your name and crippling student loan debt to do it.
Yeah, like I like as annoying as when boomers talk about graduating from the school of hard knocks with the internet, it's kind of like you don't need to study it if you actually lived through it. Like it's good to learn more about it, but like you do have that firsthand experience at least.
Yeah. We were all forged in fire into something awful forums and stuff. The horrors of Newgrounds. Oh, the young folks don't know of those things. All right, so to have you on here, I figure we'd talk about a fun internet personality, one that there's overlap between our shows because we've covered this guy before, and I know you have covered him as well. Now, Grand Theft Auto 6 is supposed to come out in November. We will see if that actually happens. But I thought in honor of those things that we would talk about probably one of our favorite subjects to talk about. We were talking about internet personality and mortal crusader and just overall, mature, stable, grown up Mr. Jack Thompson.
Oh boy, can't get rid of this guy.
Jack comes back into the ring.
I thought we were talking about Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, Florida's own, which is one of the reasons I'm kind of dreading Grand Theft Auto 6 because Vice City ripping on Florida in the 80s, that had the distance of history, but them making fun of Florida now, I don't trust the Grand Theft Auto sense of humor to handle that very well.
Now, you were a Floridian at one point. Did you have much of exposure to Jack either around Florida or just like around the internet?
Well, I don't know if I had like local exposure, but it was part of why I thought he was an interesting figure because, yeah, he was someone who was metaphorically in my backyard. I grew up in North Florida in Jacksonville, and I only left a couple of years ago. And he's from South Florida, so those are different areas, but it was still very much like, oh yeah, this guy's from where I am. That kind of made it a little more immediate, I guess, because usually when you hear about these things, it's like New York or California. Or so this one was like, oh no, this is something I know.
So I think this will be a lot of fun. Jack Thompson, just a fun figure. I've come across all these things about him in the course of researching other things because he was such a big figure, particularly in the early 2000s, up until him getting permanently disbarred in 2008. And also, Grand Theft Auto 6 supposed to come out. So I guess I asked the group, what is everyone's exposure to Grand Theft Auto or the Rockstar games?
I played some of them early on the Xbox, but it's been years since I followed them really religiously.
Yeah, my experience is I grew up with parents that were very strict, and Grand Theft Auto was one of the first M-rated games I was allowed to play before I was 18. Basically, they tried to stick to the age rating. So Vice City was the first one I played, and yeah, at the time, like it's very hard. It's hard to go back to it now, but at the time, just having this space you could exist in and run around and just kind of do anything was so mind-blowing. It's kind of telling that when people talk about nostalgia for Grand Theft Auto, it's not usually like the actual specific missions or characters. It's more just like the vibe of being a kid or being in college and just hanging out with your friend and just being like, hey, let's go bowling with those gangs of Haitians where we just like jump out of our cars and see if we can knock all of them over at once. Like getting to make your own fun.
Yeah, I think that was so much of what made those the open world trilogy, 3, Vice City, and San Andreas. Like Ryan is jumping on in a minute, but I remember going over at my friend Ryan's house when we'll elaborate when he comes on. But like he was the one who had the PS2, and we would just like take turns holding the controller and going on a rampage. And yeah, it wasn't so much any of the specific story missions. It was more just about like creating your own mayhem and making your own fun.
I do like there was a thing I remember following along with like some of the legends around GTA, like is this real or is this an urban myth? Stuff like the ghost cars or the beating heart inside of what would have been like the Statue of Liberty proxy, which was real. Like I thought that was kind of cool again with the open world concept. There were just so many neat things that they could sneak into the world that you might never even see.
Yeah, with how low fidelity they were too, it was like sometimes like you couldn't even tell if it was intentional or not. I think that was part of the fun. Like the ghost cars, I think that just turned out to be some kind of spawning glitch where cars
Yeah.
were just kind of dropping in the middle of nowhere. But because of that, it just made things feel so mysterious. Like there's a reason why people spent years convinced that there was a Sasquatch somewhere in there because like it felt like it could. I cannot emphasize for people around that how mind blowing it was to go from Vice City where there's a loading screen breaking up the town to like 3 whole cities that you could just go to with no loading screen at all. Like now open worlds are just kind of the default, but back then it was like having color for the first time. We were just having our minds blown.
Yeah, having the whole state to go through. San Andreas was something else. It's funny, like, it took me a while to get a PS2. At that time, it's like, you pick one system. I was very much a console wars kid. So, like, it was NES, then Genesis. Then by that generation, I had invested in a GameCube. So my first exposure to actually owning Grand Theft Auto was I got Grand Theft Auto 3 for the PC. And it had a really crummy PC. Like, it didn't have a really strong graphics card. And the first time I started playing it, I'm driving around and like going on a rampage, and all of a sudden my car just randomly exploded. And the reason for that was because my graphics card was so bad it couldn't render fire, so you had to put headphones.
Oh, so your car was on fire that whole time?
Yeah. So like the car was on fire and I didn't know it, so I had to get in the habit of putting on headphones and listening carefully for the fire sound, like the crackling fire sound. And so there would be times where I would just randomly abandon a car, and it was probably fine because I didn't know whether or not it was on fire.
Somebody outside your house is blowing leaves and you just got confused and scared. And got in the car.
Bail.
It's just like real life. You never know if your car is going to explode until it's too late.
Yeah, it's true.
It's more like playing GTA 4, where it's like, okay, let's take all the crazy like car physics and everything of those games. Let's make the cars more realistic, and so they all handle terribly. They break down to the drop of a hat. I think that's probably why after I played a little bit of Grand Theft Auto 4 and shifted over to Saints Row instead.
Oh yeah, no, I was a big Saints Row booster too. Like I played the first one before it even had the sequel, and I was like, yeah, this is a surprisingly fun game. And then the second one came out, and that's when everyone kind of appreciated, like, oh yeah, this is kind of doing what we liked in the old Grand Theft Auto games instead of trying to be a more serious cinematic experience.
Yeah, I think that was my exposure to playing Saints Row. It was like, this is more like Grand Theft Auto 3. It felt more like that experience. Ryan, how you doing?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Okay. Yeah, I got a new headset. I might be sounding better than I usually do.
Okay, cool. Ryan, this is Jay. Jay, this is Ryan.
Hey,
Hello. How are you?
oh, doing great. I'm a listener, so it's neat to see you.
Oh, yeah? Cool.
Mhm.
I knew I had something to do today. I was like, what am I supposed to do? Oh, wait.
No worries. We just did our intros and we're just kind of talking about Grand Theft Auto.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I know all about that.
So why don't we, I'll just have you introduce yourself and we'll go from there.
All right. I'm Ryan Weaver. I'm a lifelong Grand Theft Auto player and current Grand Theft Auto player and anticipatory waiting for the next one Grand Theft Auto player and, a frustrated fan of Rockstar. basically.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you're a current Grand Theft Auto player, how many shark cards have you bought? Because that seems to be mostly what they make these days.
Um, None for a very long time. I have bought them, but it was like when I first started to sort of get a boost because I kind of started GTA 5 online kind of late in the game because I switched from Xbox to PlayStation 4. And like by that time, my last character was on the Xbox, and I really didn't do anything with it. It was during that there's like a period of time where they didn't release anything to do in GTA Online. Like it was just we're coming out with content, and nothing was happening. And then I like kind of quit playing. And then I came back a few years later, and there was all this stuff. I was like, well, I can buy some of these shark cards so I can like buy some of these businesses and get a jump on like getting involved in the game. And so that's when I bought them. But once you have businesses, you really don't need them. You just got to play.
So I had Ryan on because you are a resident Rockstar Take-Two expert, Grand Theft Auto expert, and Jay here I'm from the internet, or internet historian, coming on. And so I thought with, Grand Theft Auto, it's going to come out one of these days. They say it's come out in November now. We'll see if that happens. But I thought in honor of all of that we would go back to a topic that we really have had fun in the past doing, Mr. Jack Thompson.
Does he have entrance music yet? He needs entrance music.
I know. I always imagine like him coming out like Kane. The whole room goes red. There's all the fire coming out of the turnbuckles.
Yeah, like instead of glass breaking, you hear a gavel hitting. It's like, by God, here comes Jack Thompson.
Jack Thompson.
For some reason, I'm just hearing that the purge alarm going off.
The Silent Hill Otherworld alarm.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's like, wasn't there was the Censor, right? There was like late 90s, early 2000s wrestler, the Censor, where they like have like the cross out.
Oh, it was there was like a whole group of them. And it was like the Godfather and Val Venus, like all those like horrible, like the ones that were over the top, like were changing their ways and like censoring everything. They were wearing like suspenders and ties and things.
Yeah, my only exposure was I remember playing, I think it's either WWF No Mercy or WrestleMania 2000, where they had like one of the intros was the Censor, where it's like a cross out and just made like a siren or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, we've done Jack Thompson a bunch in the past. Jay has done I'm from the internet, did the Modest Video Game Proposal. And so I thought it would be fun to do a set of Jack Thompson episodes, but we're going to specifically focus on Jack Thompson versus Rockstar, versus Take-Two. So to recap, Jack Thompson, he's a former attorney / moral activist based out of Miami, Florida. And during the 80s, he began a one-man crusade against obscenity in the media, which largely translated into weaponizing the legal system against his personal enemies, including filing numerous legal complaints and attempting to sic law enforcement against the people he believed were contributing to the moral degradation of society, or, let's be honest, got in his way. He had a lot of personal fights. He also engaged in prolonged PR battles where he issued public statements, made television appearances, and inundated opponents with relentless phone calls, faxes, and emails accusing them of engaging in a variety of heinous acts, including bribery, corruption, and attempting to ruin Jack's life, sprinkled in with a healthy dose of childish name-calling, as well as statements that could be interpreted as threats of violence. Observing his personal war on entertainment, a writer in the December 8, 1990 edition of Billboard described two motivations for Jack Thompson, quote, pissing people off and compounding his own celebrity, end quote.
He was very good at both of those. I will give him credit.
He knew how to draw a crowd. He definitely knew how to make a scene.
And he did one by doing the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, what am I going to make? A positive impact? No.
It does make me wonder if maybe part of his feud with Rockstar was because he kind of saw a little of himself in them, because that was kind of their thing too, is they like to use controversy to promote their games. Like if you've read the book about the making of it, like one of the things was they literally like hired tabloid people to report on their game and talk about how controversial it was. So they are kind of almost like, they're not so different, I guess you could say.
Yeah, they are kind of like two sides of the same coin of that, trying to gain attention for different ends. Yeah, Jack is something. I feel like nobody sat down and taught Jack the difference between positive and negative attention, too. But his bombastic personality, his hyperbolic statements, and aggressive tactics, one could argue were just straight-up harassment, attracted both national press attention and concerns over both his mental state and whether he should be allowed to keep practicing law. And in 1990, the Florida Bar Association even had him sit down with a psychologist to determine whether he was mentally fit to practice, leading him to brag for years that he was, in his words, quote, the only officially certified sane lawyer in the entire state of Florida, end quote, and sue the Bar Association for what he called in his 2005 memoir, quote, an attempted high-tech lynching of an uppity Christian, end quote. Jay, have you read Out of Harm's Way?
I haven't, but Jack Thompson, you can't be using words like that.
It is, if you want an account of the fight over violent video games in the early 2000s from the least reliable narrator, then read Out of Harm's Way.
Yeah, although at least the book gave us him feuding with his publisher over Left Behind, so we got some fun out of that.
That one's a fun read. I bought, when I started doing my first research into Jack Thompson, I went on Prime and I just bought a used copy of it. And I did not expect this, but I opened up the inside cover and it was signed by Jack.
What's his signature like? Does he have a cool signature, or is it just like chicken scratch?
It's just like, generic signature. Jack cut his moralist teeth against the recording industry, and targets of his crusades during the 80s and 90s, as we mentioned, were radio shock jocks like Neil Rogers and Howard Stern, the hip-hop group Two Live Crew, as well as politicians whom he felt weren't prosecuting these people for their alleged crimes hard enough, most notably Janet Reno. However, beginning in around 1998, he shifted his Karen energy to a new target that would shape the rest of his moral crusade, and eventually set the stage for him permanently losing the ability to practice law, violent video games. As we've covered in the past, Jack cited the self-proclaimed killologist and subject of a 14-part expose on the show, Dave Grossman, as his inspiration for directing his legally certified Stable Mind against those nasty, violent video games, which he took to calling murder simulators, which I'm pretty sure he got from Dave. Like, a lot of Grossman's analysis is like video games actively train people either to be good marksmen, or they actively psychologically condition the brain to be okay with killing. So basically as simulators. So I'm pretty sure Jack gets that term from Dave, but he loves using it. Sure loves calling things murder simulators. He recalled in his 2005 memoir Out of Harm's Way that Grossman encouraged him to sue the games industry, alleging that playing way too much Doom turned 14-year-old Michael Carneal into an elite marksman, psychologically conditioned to open fire on his classmates at Heath High School in West Paducah, Kentucky on December the 1st, 1997, killing 3 students and wounding 5 others, notwithstanding Carneal's severe mental health issues, including, among other things, auditory hallucinations and believing a person that a chainsaw was going to come up from under his bed and chop off his legs. And for more on that, check out our Dave Grossman series. All it's to say, I'm not going to dwell on Carneal, but I feel like there were other factors at work than just how much Doom he was playing.
Yeah, but you can't sue the abstract concept of mental illness.
Right, that doesn't help anyone. It doesn't get you more of your fame that you want.
Yeah, so much easier when you sue, video games. And speaking of that, on April the 9th, 1999, Thompson filed a $130 million wrongful death suit against effectively every video game company that developed, published, or was otherwise aware of Doom, including id Software, Acclaim, Activision, Apogee, Atari, Capcom, Eidos, Infogrames, GT Interactive Software, Interplay, Midway, Nintendo, Sega, and Squaresoft, as well as 2 pornography websites and the makers and distributors of the film The Basketball Diaries.
And that was just his browser history.
Yeah. Coincidentally, he filed the suit a mere 11 days before the April 20th, 1999 mass shooting at Columbine High School near Littleton, Colorado. And to this day, he never ceases to remind people that he successfully predicted a pair of troubled white boys would shoot up an American school. I mean, who could predict that?
Yeah, it's really hard to predict things that have already happened, It's like, well, it's going to happen again. It seems like a pretty safe bet, I feel.
A sunrise.
Yeah, I did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for a long time, he had a website called stopkill.org where he would claim that he predicted Columbine. He claims he predicted Columbine in his memoir. He says that just nobody listened to him. And I'm a little dubious about that, but, fine. It just happened to be that his lawsuit happened right before Columbine.
Plus, it's fun because Stop Kill sounds like the name of a shooter. Like, Stop Kill would come out at the same time as Kill Switch in Black. Like, it just fits right in with that era of shooters.
Another one of those id Tech games.
You stop, now I kill.
It sounds like a parody game they would have in a Grand Theft Auto game. Stop to kill. But yeah, so Jack sues the games industry. I could have gone even further with all the different names of game companies. Like, this is a laundry list of people he sues. And in the end, a judge threw out the lawsuit on April the 6th, 2000, establishing a pattern of failure that would shape the rest of Thompson's legal career. Now, while Thompson's 1999 lawsuit was his first salvo against violent video games, it was far from his last. And so, yeah, we're going to focus on one of his, if not his favorite target of litigation, of legal attacks, of personal attacks, those guys over across the pond at Rockstar North and their parent company, Rockstar Games and Take-Two Interactive. These were kind of like the big enemy of Jack Thompson, at least in his eyes. This was like the epitome of the thing he was fighting. Jack waged in many bloody battles against Rockstar and Take-Two, ultimately betting his very livelihood on ensuring the likes of Grand Theft Auto, Manhunt, and Bully never reach the hands of anyone. And so today, what we're going to do is we're going to look at some of those clashes. So that's what we're going to do for the rest of this episode. I will also point out, we are going to briefly mention a couple of acts of violence. I'm not going to dwell very long on any of them. It's just to mention these in talking about, because a lot of these are wrongful death cases. So why don't we go to the first one then? So his first clash was in October of 2003, when Thompson filed a $246 million wrongful death suit against Rockstar, Take-Two, Sony, and Walmart, arguing playing Grand Theft Auto 3 offered marksmanship training for 15-year-old William Buckner and his 14-year-old stepbrother Joshua, a pair of Tennessee boys who accidentally shot two people, killing one when they took pot shots at random cars driving along Interstate 40 outside of Newport, Tennessee on June the 25th, 2003. By all accounts, they were just like a pair of bored kids who had way too easy access to their step-parents' guns, took them, just went off and fired off on a hill that was near their house, and happened to hit a couple of people. And during interrogation, apparently said that they thought that they got this idea from Grand Theft Auto 3, and so Jackie pounces on that.
Of course.
Plus, it's funny because like they sell actual guns at Walmart, and he's suing them over the video games.
That's a George Carlin skit, actually. Something about like they want to get rid of the toy guns and the video game guns, but they want to keep the real ones.
Well, they might want to buy a real gun.
Or like, I love it was a similar guy on an episode of one of Penn Teller's shows they had an episode on video game violence, and the guy's talking about how he hates all that stuff, and he's like, oh, so you don't like guns? She's like, no, I love guns. It's cut to him like shooting an Uzi or something.
So yeah, this case, it went before, and of course it gets some attention, gets a bunch of press, and it went before a federal judge that November in 2003, only for Thompson to withdraw the suit. Now, this was another thing that Jack liked to do. In addition to filing these suits, he would sometimes file suits and then withdraw after a couple of months, which is like has that added bonus of basically tying up your personal enemies in pending litigation. They have to waste time, they have to waste money having to answer for your stuff. And then, no, psych, I didn't do that.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, just like the legal equivalent of being like, hold me back, bro, hold me back.
Yeah. He was like a professional time waster. Like he would do these things because it would mean that everyone had to spin their wheels and try to figure out ways to answer him, especially when it's in the courts, you know? It's if they're filing these like large suits, it doesn't mean they have any merit behind them, but they do have to answer for them. So that's the first one in 2003. And 2 years later, in March of 2005, Thompson sued Take-Two as well as Sony, GameStop, and Walmart for $600 million, asserting that playing too much Grand Theft Auto 3 and Grand Theft Auto Vice City inspired 18-year-old Devin Moore to shoot and kill two officers and a dispatcher in a Fayetteville, Alabama police station on June the 2nd, 2003. For more details on why I don't think GTA played a new role in Moore's actions, check out our two-part series on Jack Thompson. We dissected this a bit, and Moore was a kid who had a lot going on. He did play Grand Theft Auto, but like he had a lot more going on than, you know, he was caught sleep. He was a 18-year-old black kid living in Alabama. Police pick him up sleeping in somebody's car, and they tried to link him to an auto theft. They claimed he stole the car. He gets brought in. He grabs a officer's service pistol and shoots two officers and a dispatcher, grabbed their keys, and booked out of there in a police car. And they caught him in like the next state over. And his lawyers, like he's kind of dead to rights. Like they're trying to find something to exonerate him. And his court-appointed attorney tried to throw a Hail Mary and said, video games caused this. And the courts like immediately threw it out. There's no scientific basis. There's no reality where this is real. So it was never really seriously considered. But after the case was over, Thompson's like, aha! It has to be those video games, that he files this wrongful death lawsuit after it. So he files this lawsuit in 2005, but Jack left the case in November of 2005. To hear him tell it, he was pressured off the case by Take-Two's lawyers and presiding judge James W. Moore, no relation to Devin, who according to Jack had it out for him. So he's like, this judge is a really mean judge, and he really, really is laying it into this good Christian defender of moral righteousness. However, it likely had more to do with him sending hundreds of harassing messages to Take-Two's attorneys at the law firm Blank Rome in the months leading up to the case. Like just every single day, he would send emails, he would send faxes, he would send phone calls, he would send press releases, like every single day accusing them of all these heinous crimes. And eventually they're like, we need to get him kicked off this case. And he leaves the case. He claims that he got pushed out.
Yeah, like in a weird way, we're kind of lucky that he was so like abrasive and incompetent because it made him very hard to sympathize with. Like if he had been a little nicer, more charismatic, he might have actually accomplished more.
That's true.
Yeah, instead we got file boxes upon file boxes of him harassing the other attorneys. It makes it easier for them, yeah.
Yeah, it's never a good idea, particularly when you're leaving that much of a paper trail of harassing people. Yeah, there were other instances like this. So, for example, there's, of course, the case of Stefan Pekira, who was a 14-year-old boy from Leicester in the UK who was bludgeoned to death by 17-year-old William LeBlanc on February 25, 2004. LeBlanc later admitted that the killing was a gang-related robbery gone wrong. However, Jack asserted that the real cause of Stefan's death was Warren obsessively playing too much Manhunt.
I mean, I feel like that wouldn't really help very much because the executions there are just you hold down a button and let it go. Like that's not how you bludgeon someone to death at all. That's bad training for killing people.
Yeah, you go up to him with a controller and just hit a button at him.
I'm trying, it's not working.
Why are you not dying?
Why won't you stay down?
If this was truly a Manhunt death, it would have involved a plastic bag in some way.
Yeah, where was Brian Cox when this happened? We need to know that.
He was filming the whole thing. But yeah, we talked about this, and I shout out because Ryan was on this episode where we talked about why I don't think that Manhunt played a role, especially because the only copy of Manhunt that was discovered between the two boys was at the victim's house. Stefan had a copy of Manhunt. And the Leicester police asserted that they felt video games had nothing to do with the case, although according to a statement that they released on August 4th, 2004, quote, some sections of the media chose to ignore it, end quote. This is where we get the infamous murder by PlayStation headline that the Daily Mail put out. And I'm pretty sure Jack was involved in that in a certain way because like it's no coincidence, I think, that Pekira's family, their attorney is Jack Thompson. It made things interesting because Jack Thompson's not legally allowed to practice law in the UK, but he was like one of the public figures with this. I have a sneaking suspicion that he's the one who told Stefan's parents that Manhunt did it, and therefore you need to sue Rockstar. And then, of course, there's the Jack's crusade against the infamous hot coffee. What do we all remember about hot coffee?
Oh, yeah, hot coffee.
Oh, I had a personal experience with that where when I was like my family, like once my mom kept to me, she was like, you played that Grand Theft Auto game, right? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, is there porn in that? And I was like, no, like there's a safe house with like a picture of a lady's blood on it, but that's about it. And she's like, because on the news, they're saying that you can have sex in that game. And that was how I learned that hot coffee was a thing.
Now there's games where you can do that just in the game.
Yeah, now that's like mainstream games. Like you get to choose your penis size when you play Cyberpunk. Like this is just completely not an issue now.
Yeah, I think like Baldur's Gate 3.
You can do it with a bear.
Yes, you can.
You want to. All the squirrel watch is in horror.
Or with great interest. Well, like that game House Party, right, Kev? Like we kind
of yeah.
Like, oh, this is porn. Oh, never mind. 14 hours of gameplay in. Oh, it's porn.
Yeah, check the front page of Steam when you're logged in and just like, oh, wow, it's all porn now.
Yeah, look at that.
Oops, all porn, yeah. So yeah, Hot Coffee, this 2005 fan mod that unlocked a scrapped hidden sex minigame that was left over in the game's code, which we talked about. Check out our remastered episodes to hear more about the public freakout that was Hot Coffee. It's real something. And then we skip it. There's more of these. Skip ahead to 2006. Thompson sued Take-Two again, arguing that playing too much Grand Theft Auto Vice City inspired 14-year-old Cody Posey to shoot and kill his father, mother, and stepsister on July the 4th, 2004. Thompson conveniently ignored the fact that Posey's dad had subjected him to years of physical, emotional, and sexual abuse, which we will not go over the details of it because it's pretty awful. Instead, he claimed that were it not for the teaching power of those, in his words, quote, virtual reality murder simulators, end quote, those deaths would have never occurred. However, authorities disagreed, and New Mexico judge Valerie Hewling dismissed the suit on December the 18th, 2007. I've read some articles from the time about this, and it seems that the way that authorities even thought of implicating Grand Theft Auto was that Jack Thompson started reaching out to people who were involved with the case and asking them to look for copies of Grand Theft Auto among Posey's things. And because he is a 14-year-old boy with a PlayStation 2, of course he's going to have a copy of Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, it was like one of their, was that a release title? I feel like it was.
I think 3 came out in 2001, so it was a couple years into the console's life, but it was like one of the best-selling games on the platform at the time. Like, yeah, everyone had a copy of Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, I mean, if you look over the best-selling games of the PS2 era, I'm pretty sure every mainline Grand Theft Auto is one of the best-selling. I think San Andreas is the best-selling game on the system of all time, and I'm pretty sure Vice City and 3 are probably pretty close there, too. So yeah, odds are pretty good that you're in 2006 with a PlayStation 2 that you have at least one Grand Theft Auto game.
And then I think what 5 is like the best selling anything of all. It's like the best selling piece of entertainment media, I think, of all time. Something ridiculous like that.
Yeah. I love how every AAA game now that the expectation is that it's going to be the best-selling thing that has ever existed.
Yeah.
Like I remember that was what Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 at one point was the best-selling thing that ever existed. Like it was the best-selling piece of media. And I know like people are expecting that Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to be the best-selling thing that ever existed.
Yeah. Maybe that's why they don't want to release it. They're afraid it's not going to be as good as everybody thinks.
Yeah, it's Schrodinger's Grand Theft Auto. So long as it never comes out, it could potentially be the best-selling thing that has ever existed.
Right. You're going to have virtual reality in this. You're going to actually feel everything.
See, we're gonna have additional hidden sex mini games that you unlock this
Yes.
time. All sex mini
We're having
games.
hidden sex mega games to take it to the
Yeah.
next level.
Macro games.
In between filing a bunch of failed suits that ironically eventually helped build a body of legal precedent that ended up getting video games free speech protection in the United States. And for more on that, check out our episode on Brown v. EMA where we covered that a bunch. Jack also sued to try to keep Rockstar and Take-Two's games from reaching store shelves in the first place. Take, for example, Bully. And so what are people's familiarity with Bully?
I played it.
I love Bully. It's my favorite Rockstar game from that generation because it's like they took all the lessons and tech knowledge that they had gotten from the other games and they put it in like a much smaller and more focused setting. And also like the fact that it was in a school and rated T for teen meant that they actually had to kind of rein themselves in a fun way. Like they couldn't just do like 69 references all the time. They had to actually come up with jokes and characters and not just like copy everything from movies. So it's a very unique experience.
It feels like I remember when that game came out, that it sounded like a lot of people who were objecting to it, and I say people like, local news stories running and folks like Jack Thompson, maybe, I'm not, but this might be where you're going, Kevin, were angry because they looked at the cover. It's the equivalent of like, I read the headline but not the article, where it's like, I'm assuming that this is GTA but in a high school, and that's not true, as you say, Jay. It's a different experience. I only remember playing it, Kev. I remember you and I got a used copy at Goodwill, if you recall this, when we were first dating, and we played like 2 levels, and it was a lot of fun, but there was a big scratch on the disc, and then it stopped working, and it took years for us to get a copy that worked.
Yeah, I eventually got I found another copy at a used game shop, and that one worked. So now I have 2 of them, and I just don't remember which one is the one that works and which one doesn't. I really should mark them. What about you, Ryan? I imagine you have some exposure to Bully.
Yeah, I didn't get it when it first came out. I was playing the GTAs and all, but then eventually I was like, oh, get this try, and I got a used copy too, and my copy worked, and I remember playing it for a few hours and liking it. It was pretty good. Like he said, it's very different from a GTA experience, but it's similar, but it's also different at the same time. Where you're just on a smaller scale, and they, like I said, reined it in a little bit. Sort of same kind of mission structure, but you're doing different. You're not out there like murdering people, that kind of thing.
Yeah. And there's a lot more like little interactions in it. Like in the school, you can pull the fire alarms and it makes everyone evacuate the building.
Yeah.
And also like you get an item that's a bag of marbles. And if you drop it on the ground, people slip on it. So what I do is I drop a bunch of marbles in front of the school door, then pull the fire alarm and everyone would try and run out and they'll just slip slide all over the marbles. And just a classic cavalcade of cartoon comedy. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a Dennis the Menace simulator. It's awesome.
Right.
Yeah, that was my time where I didn't have a PS2, so I was aware of the game, but I never played it. But I think you make a great point, circling back to what you said, Kate. It's like, I think a lot of the moral outrage over this game was just the idea of it potentially existing, like Grand Theft Auto, but in a school, raised some people's hackles before they even saw anything of this game. And Jack was one of those people. So for those who are unfamiliar, Bully was developed by Rockstar Vancouver and it was published by Rockstar Games. It's known in the UK, in Europe, as Canis Canem Eat It instead of Bully, which is Latin for dog eat dog.
Why is that? Do you know? I'm just curious.
I believe it was because there were concerns in the UK about negative associations with the idea of bullying.
Yeah, I think it's because bully is a slang term there too. So like it has different connotations, whereas like as opposed to like how we use it in America.
But yeah, you play as it's an open world action adventure where players assume the role of 15-year-old Jimmy Hopkins as he navigates the fraught campus of Bulworth Academy. Jay and I were talking about this off mic, the fact that we've got this British boarding school was in the middle of it was like American British boarding school.
Yeah, there's one point where a character becomes like head boy, and we don't have those in America. What are you talking about? Like, at least in Life is Strange, they kind of explain that it's a weird art school, and that's why the high schoolers live in a dormitory. But here, they're just like, yeah, that's just how it is here, and we think that would be fun for a game. So we'll just set it in New England. That's close enough.
He's new head boy. Yeah, the only time, first time I ever heard of that was Harry Potter. I'm head boy. What does that mean?
So Rockstar, they first announced the title on May the 9th, 2005, promising in Bully according to a press release. And I've been doing a lot of reading stuff, so I'm going to have you all, there's going to be a bunch of stuff I'm going to have you all read. So who wants to read? This is a short one just from the press poll, so we know what we're talking about with this game. Who wants to do this one?
I can start.
All right, put it in the chat.
As a troublesome schoolboy, you'll laugh and cringe as you stand up to bullies, get picked on by teachers, play pranks on malicious kids, win or lose the girl, and ultimately learn to navigate the obstacles of the fictitious reform school Bulworth Academy.
The game was initially slated for an October 2005 release for the PS2 and original Xbox. However, due to delays, it eventually came out a year later on October the 17th, 2006. And like I said before, like a lot of the concern, I think, for this game was in the lead up. We've got this game, by the publishers of Grand Theft Auto. Rockstar North didn't make this game, but people are seeing Rockstar, they're thinking Grand Theft Auto, another open world game that's in a school. Well, obviously you're going to be, murdering people.
It's Scream, the game.
Yeah.
That is a funny part about it too, is like so much media that is popular with teenagers that isn't video games at this time is very bloody and violent or involves controversial stuff. Like when this came out, like I was a teenager and I was watching Veronica Mars, which was like, it's like a murder mystery starring a high schooler that deals with very dark subject matter. It is like you were saying, because people didn't really play video games back then, they didn't know what it was. So they were just going off of vibes. Whereas now, since everyone plays video games, they can't really fall for that anymore. It's like, no, I play video games. I know what they are. It doesn't make me a serial killer. It just makes me spend a lot of money on my phone.
Yeah, a lot of because a lot of the this is really at that time, and I think Rockstar is a really important part of this, because like you're beginning to see a kind of maturation of video games. And you're seeing Grand Theft Auto and the later games like kind of pushing the boundaries a bit. We're trying to make the games more mature. There are a bunch of other games that are tackling more mature themes. Like Killer 7 comes out around the same time as this game. And like games are trying to push these boundaries, and you see more established people who are getting anxious about that because they've always been told that video games are for children. They're associating with like Super Mario and Sonic, and now there's, sex and swearing and brutal murders in these games now, and not really seeing it as a medium that you could convey those kinds of things, and more seeing this as a children's toy that has really mature themes in it.
Yeah, the Killer 7 is a particularly fun example because that's an anime game. So first off, the idea of Jack Thompson having to watch anime is very funny. And secondly, like, yeah, he's probably looking at it going, this is a cartoon, it's for kids, even though it's like a guy with a gun fighting blood zombies that explode and you shoot them.
Yeah, we're literally one of the characters unlocks secret areas by cutting her wrists.
Yeah. One of the characters is named Kevin Smith, but not that Kevin Smith.
Yeah.
It's not the Kevin Smith.
My favorite was always Mask De Smith.
Oh yeah, he sounds like he should be in Bully. He sounds like a teenage boy, but he's like a giant luchador with grenade launchers. Killer 7 rules. I love Suda 51.
But yeah, so people are worried about this game. It didn't stop Bully from doing well. It earned critical praise, commercial success, and years of calls for a sequel from its fans. There's still people who are calling for a Bully sequel to this day.
Yeah, there aren't a lot of Western games that are set in high schools and star high schoolers. Like anime has a lot of that, like Persona and such from Japan. But I feel like aside from Bully and Life is Strange, I have a hard time thinking of games that do that. And it's something that obviously has an audience. Especially, I think part of Bully's success was if you were a kid and your parents wouldn't let you play Grand Theft Auto, this was like a T-rated version of that. That was, somewhat palpable. I could see that also being part of its popularity. Maybe part of why it existed. I could see that being a business concern even.
Yeah, T-rating gives you a lot wider reach.
Yeah, another thing too is like, they'd been making games for a while at this point. I imagine a lot of people that were having kids of their own. And that's the thing I've heard from game developers is being frustrated. I make games for a living, but my kids can't play them because I make mature games. Like that's why IO Interactive, the guys who make Hitman, made a game called Mini Ninjas, because they were like, we want our kids to be able to play a game that we work on.
Yeah, I think it's a good point. I guess a lot of people were concerned about this game, not really knowing much about it. And one of those was our old friend, Mr. Jack Thompson. Because Jack became convinced that in Bully, the Grand Theft Auto publishers had finally realized his worst fears and created, in his words, a Columbine simulator.
Again, it's like, you didn't play the game, did you?
No, he didn't play it. He didn't watch anybody play it.
He didn't watch anyone else play it, yeah.
He wasn't in the room while somebody booted it up. He wasn't next door.
He woke up in a video cold sweat one night. It was like,
duh, Bully.
Yeah, everyone remembers the part in Columbine when you had to memorize your spelling words and then go trick or treating. It's so accurate.
Yes.
So yeah, thus Jack resolved to do everything in his power to keep Bully out of the hands of children. And that meant everybody else too. Well, that's just an added benefit for Jack. He also convinced himself there was gay sex in a T-rated game where the primary cast are teenagers because Jack Thompson is a rational person.
All right, so I'm curious, what about the cover of the game indicated that to him? Where did that come from?
I don't know where he got. I think some of it's because you mentioned like you can kiss boys in this game. I think he somehow made the logical leap that you could then do other things with them, despite that they're all children, literal children.
Okay, all right.
Yes, but where was he kissing them?
I think it was behind the bleachers in the football field.
Oh, okay. That's fine then.
Jack resolved to protect the public from a game he clairvoyantly knew would cause violence and moral corruption, despite never seeing a second of. On August 16, 2005, Thompson filed suit with the 11th Circuit Court of Miami-Dade County against Best Buy, Target, Walmart, GameStop, Circuit City, and Toys R Us, using the state of Florida's nuisance laws to attempt to block the game's sale, lest the game's mind-warping filth that he had never seen, as the game was far from release, inspire a wave of school violence in Miami-Dade County, and strongly implying that Bully would cause another Columbine shooting.
Yeah, and speaking of nuisance, Walmart had to have been like, "You again?"
Fucking Jack.
I mean, honestly, if you think kids are going to imitate a game, you want them imitating Bully. That's all like slingshots and bottle rockets. If they're going to be doing it, it's way better that than actual guns, I suppose.
Next crusade is against Dennis the Menace comic strips.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I was gonna make a joke about like maybe he stepped on a bunch of marbles at one point and that's why he got some. But that would again indicate that he played the game, which we know.
Yeah, he's just watching Harriet the Spy fuming at like the bad habits it's teaching children.
It's a Home Alone simulator in a school.
Home Alone is the original murder simulator.
I mean, he did have a teenage son. Maybe it's he woke up one day and he slipped on a bunch of micro machines that his son left out and he vowed revenge. So, in typical Thompson fashion, Jack also pleaded his case in the court of public opinion, releasing numerous press releases and sparring with gamers and journalists, especially on the message boards of the gaming news site Game Politics, where he was a frequent visitor in between getting his accounts banned. Jay, have you come across Game Politics?
Yeah, there's actually on our maid feed, we have an unlocked bonus episode called Will Wright Republican Mega Donor, where we kind of talk about game politics a little, because it's about when they broke a story about his political donations and how different, like in 2008, people reacted to that compared to now.
It's a fascinating page. It was run by a single editor, Dennis McCauley. Dennis McCauley ran Game Politics, and they had a really active message board culture, particularly in the comment sections of articles they would do, in part because Jack loved being there. He would just like get into fights with people. He would sign that it was him. Like we know explicitly, I know of at least 2 accounts that were connected to Jack Thompson, one of which he railed against on a second account that they banned him. And I'm like, why did they ban him? And I got this through like, I'm trying to like read between the lines, people commenting back to Jack. It sounds like he got so mad about, because people did what internet people in the 2000s do. They're yelling back at him. They're calling him out on things. And Jack has this pathological inability to let things go. He's going to post his way through this. And I think at one point, again, reading between the lines, I think he started demanding people's personal information. I think so he could file some sort of frivolous like legal claims against them. And they banned his account.
And then he sues Game Politics for censoring his First Amendment rights.
Yeah. And like literally every time, because Game Politics was one of like the big news sites that was covering a lot of Jack's exploits too. And he would often have responses to their post about him in the comments too. So like they were entertaining for a while because you never knew when Jack would appear. And now we get an example of that here. So he posted on Game Politics where he was a frequent visitor, and he would make these responses. And in one such salvo, on August the 12th, 2005, he released a public letter addressed to Microsoft head Bill Gates that read the following. And I want one of you to read this. So who's up next?
Ooh, I'll do this one. I'm going to read it, Jack Thompson.
You're going to love this one, Jay. This one's fun.
Dear Mr. Gates, you have 54, parentheses 54, days in which to stop the release of Bully on Xbox. Govern yourself accordingly. Sincerely, Jack Thompson.
What do we think about that?
Man, for a guy who doesn't like video games, he sure is good at talking like Sephiroth when he wants to.
Govern yourself accordingly sounds like something he came up with in the shower and was like, I gotta write that down.
This'll show them.
Yeah, in my next lawsuit, that's how I'm gonna end the letter.
So it's kind of an ominous thing. Dear Bill Gates, you have 54 days to stop this. Get your affairs in order.
I mean, it does sound threatening if we're being honest. Yeah, like
update
legally.
your will.
Yeah,
Yeah.
update your will.
It is threatening, but also you're threatening one of the richest men on earth. Like, good luck.
Right.
So when a bunch of folks on the Game Politics forums reached out to Jack about what he meant by that and what he planned to do to the Microsoft head after the 54 days are up, he cryptically responded in a comment on Game Politics. I'll have you do this one, Ryan, because I want to give you a chance too. This is what he responded to what Jay read. People asked, what do you mean by that? This is what he said in response.
That's for me to know and for you all to find out. I have a history of winning these battles, which drives you gamers crazy. Does it say short trip?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, short trip. Yeah, it's very small on my screen.
It's a short trip to drive gamers crazy. Like he's
Oh,
reveling
I
how much
see.
patrol he is.
It's a
Yeah,
short
so
trip
that's
to
for
drive
that's for me to know and you all to find out. Like that I see why he's mad at Bully. That is a very schoolyard insult. Like, Your Honor, let it be shown that I am rubber and he is in fact glue. Like that degree of
Your
That's
Honor,
what you say when you don't have an answer. It's for me to know and you to find out. When I figure it out, you'll find out what it's I'm going to do.
maybe you will, maybe you won't. Maybe I'll tell you and maybe I won't. He's backing out of the room as he's saying.
I said I was going to bed when I was actually going to bread. I think you will find.
He's just suddenly Homer backing into the hedges.
Yeah. I'm glad we're talking about what he would do if this is like, an actual legal setting responses, because that's going to come back in a minute. So on August the 5th, 2005, Jack also teamed up with a DC-based anti-violence group called the Peaceaholics for the first of a pair of protest outlets. Their real name, Peaceaholics.
Are they addicted to Pizza Hall?
I think they banned it after a bunch of kids had birth defects from it.
Those class action lawsuits you see on daytime television. Were you or someone a victim of Pizza Hall? So yeah, he partnered with this. It was a real group. Like, they were an anti-violence group based out of DC. And Jack and them went up to the New York headquarters of Rockstar, and they did a march outside of Rockstar's headquarters. There's also a Best Buy there where they're marching. And they also had a list of demands that they sent to Rockstar, where they called for, among other things, the company to not release Bully and, quote, make a national apology for misleading and lying to children, parents, and legislators about their intentions and causing insurance premiums to skyrocket, end quote.
Sure.
God, his priorities are straight there. Yeah, I actually remember when this happened. Like, I was watching the videos of the Peaceaholics protests on game trailers because it was pre-YouTube. And like, one of the things, like Peaceaholics is actually way more competent at this than Jack Thompson, because they actually had like high schoolers marching with them, and they had it was a much better visual to have like all these families protesting it than just like this one crazy guy ranting and raving about murder simulators. Like I mentioned, we're lucky he was incompetent.
Yeah, we really are. And yeah, I think you're right. Like, the optics are pretty good if you're the Peaceaholics. So yeah, it's a bunch of teenagers holding signs and yelling about Bully. So according to court reports, Jack ended up dropping his suit several weeks after filing it. Likely, I would guess, in response to Take-Two announcing in September of 2005 that they were pushing back Bully's release date to 2006. So I think he wanted to make sure it lined up with the release date of Bully. He filed again a year later in August of 2006, just days after Rockstar dropped their first trailer for Bully on August the 11th. And in this version, specifically targeting Take-Two, Rockstar, and Walmart, Thompson demanded an advance copy of the game so that he and his team of so-called experts could personally review whether its content was objectionable.
He just wanted to play it early.
Yeah. I think we've discerned a way to get Grand Theft Auto 6 early.
Yeah, we object, and we have to peruse just to make sure that it's not questionable for.
I need to check on this for at least 300 hours.
Yes.
I mean, honestly, that would be a pretty good promotional stunt to have Jack Thompson play it and give his opinion. It's like when Dead Space 2 came out and they had those videos where they had people's moms playing it and being outraged at how gross it was. Like, I could see that being a thing.
Yeah, your mom hates Dead Space 2. Yeah, Jack Thompson hates Bully.
You have him go live on TikTok begging for donos while he's floundering his way through it.
Jack Thompson on Twitch trying to play.
He's got his controller in one hand. He's just got his finger pointing up, and the donate.
Yeah. Now, obviously, this is inspired by client. Thank you for the bits, Epic Gamer 69. As I was saying,
He files this lawsuit demanding an advance copy because he wants to check on it to see if it passes his, whatever his standards are in terms of what this game could be, not objectionable to him, which I'd be very curious what that would be. He also staged another protest with the Peaceaholics on August the 25th, 2006. And there is I found this one YouTuber who went to it and recorded. It is interesting, at least seeing them. This guy tries to ask what their thoughts about it. I don't see Jack anywhere, but I gotta imagine he was involved in this. So let's talk about this lawsuit over Jack trying to get an early copy of Bully. Presiding over the case was Judge Ronald M. Friedman of Florida's 11th Judicial Circuit Court, who came up with a compromise, to which I will point out both Take-Two and Jack agreed to this compromise. Rockstar would provide footage of a full playthrough of Bully, using cheat codes to advance the game more quickly, because, how long a Rockstar game is. So a kind of speed run version of Bully, that Judge Friedman would see this. He would view it in the presence of representatives of Rockstar and Take-Two, as well as Jack Thompson. So they would all be together in the judge's chambers watching this playthrough of Bully. After reviewing the footage, the judge would then rule if Bully's content rose to the standard of warranting restriction. The session took place in Judge Friedman's chambers on October the 12th, 2006, wherein he viewed about 60 to 90 minutes of the game before deciding he had seen enough. Now hold on to that, because that's going to be a sticking point for Jack later on. The next day, on October the 13th, Friedman ruled that while he personally agreed with Jack that based on the footage he'd seen, the game's content was objectionable and probably warranted a higher rating than a T for Team, he didn't see anything in the game that rose to Thompson's concerns that playing Bully would directly lead to violence, thus ruling that Rockstar and Take-Two had the free speech right to distribute the game. So he sees enough. He sees about 90 minutes of it. He's like, it's not my thing, but I don't see anything that's warranting any kind of clear or present danger that needs this game to be restricted in any way. So that's what the judge rules. And I think it took a fellow practitioner of the law with no vested interest in Bully to finally get through to Jack that people who ruled against him were not personally out to get him. And while he expressed his disappointment, Jack also offered his appreciation to Judge Friedman for his even-handed, thoughtful analysis.
Of course he didn't. He didn't do any of that, did he?
Yeah, I'm just kidding. Jack accused Judge Friedman of violating his promise to watch the full game, getting bamboozled by those lying hucksters at Take-Two, and dooming countless children to violent harm. Hours after the ruling, Thompson railed against Judge Friedman in an email that read the following. And I'm going to put this in the chat. Who wants to read this one?
I'll do this one too.
Okay, I'm going to point out this is an abridged version. I'll include a link in the notes to the full diatribe that Jack has. This is an abbreviated version that was included in his disbarment records. So skipping ahead to see how this is going to go for Jack. But so here's the full passage for you, Jack.
Now that you have consigned innumerable children to skull fractures, eye injuries from slingshots, and beatings with baseball bats without a hearing as to the danger, let me tell you a few things with all respect for your office and with no respect for the arbitrary way in which you handled this matter. What you conducted in your chambers, Judge, was the equivalent of Iran leading UN weapons inspectors around the country, taking them to places where the illegal activity was not occurring. I couldn't care less what you did to me. What I care about is that you, through judicial arrogance, have hung countless kids out to dry in schools that will now be meaner and more dangerous. Next time you promise a, quote, hearing, I'll bring a parent with me whose kid is in the ground because of a kid who trained to kill him or her on a violent video game. Try mocking that person. I dare you. Hiding behind dead kids is always a thing good people do.
So what do we think about that?
All of this seems very healthy.
Yeah, and I guess before we go on, it's kind of funny too, because as a Bully fan, there is some objectionable material in it, but stuff that people like them probably wouldn't find objectionable at the time. Like there's a panty raid mission, or there's one where you help the lunch lady roofie your science teacher. In mine, and there is very objectionable stuff, but he was so focused on the violence, he didn't even notice the honestly more impressionable stuff. That's where people learn these things from. I could see having a complaint about that, but instead he's just so focused on slingshots, a thing you can get at a hardware store for $5.
Again, Dennis the Menace.
Yeah. You told us you could make one of those things.
Yeah, and Bart Simpson had one, and all these terrible blonde-headed miscreants.
Oh man, I bet Jack Thompson was so mad at The Simpsons. He was probably one of those Bart Simpson is a bad influence types.
Yeah.
Probably.
So he sends this long email to Judge Friedman, feeling that he was, that, Rockstar and Take-Two's, fancy lawyers lied to him and were misleading the public, and that children's blood is now on Judge Friedman's hands, effectively. It was far from the only message Judge Friedman's office received from Jack, as Thompson decided what the judge really needed to come over to his cause was a relentless harassment campaign, inundating his offices with countless emails and faxes, accusing Friedman of professional misconduct, and calling for his removal. On October the 17th, Thompson filed a motion to kick Friedman off the bully case on the grounds that the judge was just a big, smelly meanie. And he wrote, in part, I'm going to have, who wants to read this one?
I can do it.
All right.
The behavior of this judge was abominable, which was made all the worse by the fact that he engaged in these childish antics in front of the media in the courtroom.
Yeah, Jack doesn't know anything about childish antics in front of the press.
Lead it up with, Mom, you weren't watching. When you weren't here, the judge was doing childish antics in front of the media.
But teacher, the judge was being childish too.
Now, Jack, two wrongs don't make a right. They do too. I've been pretty upfront that I'm no legal expert. I'm pretty sure a lawyer isn't allowed to talk to a judge like that. And the folks at Blank Rome, and Blank Rome is the law firm representing Rockstar and Take-Two, who are, again, one of these persistent enemies of Jack in his mind. So his modest video game proposal, for example, one of the targets he had in there, one of the levels he suggested in it was that the player goes to the offices of Blank Rome and basically murder them. So they're specifically the legal opponents that Jack was facing. So, yeah, so you're not allowed to talk to a judge like that. And the folks at Blank Rome agreed. And on October the 18th, Take-Two filed criminal contempt charges against him. As it turns out, Thompson had also the galaxy-brained idea to CC representatives from Rockstar, Take-Two, and Blank Rome on every missive he sent to Judge Friedman. Everyone who was involved got to hear this. Now, if convicted, Jack faced the possibility of fines and/or jail time. What's funny about this is that Jack took the charges as evidence that his enemies were getting desperate. Responding in an email he also sent to gaming press outlets that read the following. Who would like to read this one?
I'll go.
All right.
You want to play hardball? You want to try throw me in jail? You have no idea what you are unleashing in doing this. You're at the brink.
He also added he would sue any judge who dared to move forward on these charges, writing,
If this court in any fashion proceeds towards issuing a show cause order, given its utter baselessness and the bad faith goo in which it slithers, then Thompson will add whatever judge should do so as a defendant in the aforementioned federal civil rights action. Yeah, we all remember the Million Gamer March that happened after this. The idea of Jack Thompson in jail is very funny because, there's one thing prison guards get along with. It's people who don't listen and think they can just do whatever they want. Like, prison guards love that.
Say that they love being challenged and contradicted.
Like the first night at Shawshank, but Jack's like, let me out of here. My enemies are doing this. I got to stop bullying. Like, shut up, new fish.
And this is all being covered by a lot of the game's news sites just had so much fun covering Jack's legal battles, especially when the possibility came up that Jack might go to jail for this. So places like Destructoid and Kotaku were writing a whole bunch. They had people on, Destructoid had an on-the-site reporter who was covering specifically this case. So yeah, when all was said and done, it finally took the potential loss of his freedom to finally compel Jack to follow court procedures and keep his gob shut. I'm just kidding. Far from letting up, Thompson escalated his assault on Judge Friedman. The same day he received his contempt charge, he responded by accusing the judge of criminal misconduct, using words like childish, unethical, and foolish, and implied he intended to sue Friedman for violating his free speech rights. Jack also announced on October the 19th that he planned to run against Friedman for 11th Circuit Court judge with the slogan, "Dump the bully judge."
And how did that go?
Because, Jack's really good when he runs against opponents like that. See his feud against Janet Reno for more on that.
He's good with people.
Yeah, he did such a bad job running against her. She got promoted. She got to be the district attorney.
He had puts out a statement announcing his judicial run, in which he wrote in part, who wants to read this one?
I'll do it.
Okay.
Circuit Court Judge Ronald Friedman is the embodiment of what more and more citizens understand to be the greatest domestic threat to liberty, tyrannical judiciary that thinks it is above the law.
These activist judges always not doing things.
Yeah. I don't think you could read that as a scare campaign ad. Judge Ronald Freeman is the embodiment of what more and more citizens understand is the greatest threat to America.
Just him in some pose with like a sinister looking face on.
Yeah. Knowing Jack, it's like a photo of Judge Freeman where he's like put like a mustache and like glasses and like his teeth are missing.
He's got a devil beard.
What's with all these flies around you, Judge Freeman?
And stink lines.
A little speech bubble saying, I'm stupid. And he's like, I don't remember saying that.
So this went on for weeks. He kept sending him more and more stuff. And the reason I know that, skipping ahead, is that they put this all in Jack's disbarment records. So I have excerpts of things that he would send to Judge Friedman. It went on for weeks. So Jack accusing Friedman of bullying, abusing his contempt powers, getting duped by Rockstar, whom he argued manipulated Judge Friedman into a favorable ruling, and violating his oath of office by allowing bully sale. So he's taking this awful well, is what I'm saying. In a hearing held on October the 30th, Judge Friedman felt compelled to answer Jack's accusations. He finally said something about this, calling them, quote, inappropriate by a member of the bar, unprofessional, and contemptible, end quote. To which Jack, in defiance of all common sense, replied in a message that followed the hearing, quote, who wants to read this one?
I can do it.
Okay.
You're the kind of guy who would wave into an intersection a child to be run over by a semi. It's a mouthful.
Oh.
God, it's a shame this guy hates video games so much because he's the most like tutorial case in an Ace Attorney game lawyer that ever existed. Like this is how they teach you how to use the interface before you go on to the actual difficult trials.
I want the take that reaction from Jack Thompson now. He also called Judge Friedman Kim Jong-tu, comparing him to North Korean dictator Kim Jong-il. Jack ultimately dismissed his suit with prejudice. However, would you be shocked to know that Friedman filed a complaint against Jack with the Florida Bar Association?
I would be very shocked.
What's that? Actions, consequences?
And so that sets up for what we'll address in our next episode, because next time we'll start seeing the tables turn as Jack Thompson shifts from a new role, from plaintiff to defendant.
Oh, the turnstabling.
I have a note in my later script that we're going to be entering what is known as the finding out phase of Jack Thompson's career. But until then, how's everybody doing?
Oh, I'm having fun.
Yeah.
You know what that phrase is in Captain Picard, right?
What's that?
It's not F around and find out. It's not, you may test that hypothesis at your earliest convenience.
What is that? The DM one is like, you're certainly free to try.
Yes.
You can certainly try.
You can try.
I thought that we'd wrap up here, and then next time we will dive into more about what I think is Jack Thompson's ultimate downfall when it comes to battling Rockstar. So until then, any thoughts?
He's in perfect form as always.
You know, I would say he needs a hobby, but honestly, I've heard enough about him at this point. I think this is his natural state. I don't think he has a different way to be. I don't think if he takes up, what is it, gemstone painting or whatever, he's going to get
Nah, he should get a hobby. He should play some video games. Blow off some steam.
Well, he likes golfing. We should send him like a copy of PGA Tour or something.
Yes.
What's that one from The Simpsons? The golf.
Oh,
the
Carvalho's putting
putting
challenge.
The Carvalho's putting
You have selected no.
A game that is impossible to be violent in. It's perfect for him.
Yeah.
I mean, there's golf in GTA 5. He could just do that. You can go golfing in there.
He could bowl in GTA 4.
You can play darts in GTA 5. There's arm wrestling.
That really fun arm wrestling simulator, GTA 5. It's like, there's other stuff. Really?
I hear 6 is going to have like skateboarding and basketball.
We should try to convince him to get mad at Saints Row. Be like, they're putting them in VR simulations. They're giving them superpowers. Our kids are going to be flying around uncontrollably if we don't do something about this.
I mean, those ones had flashers and streakers.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. They're doing the Teen Wolf dance on our cars. It's a risk to everyone.
Right, Teen Wolf. Except for the last Saints Row was just not good.
I love how in Saints Row 4, like they had those parodies of the romance options from Mass Effect, where you're literally on the spaceship and you can hook up with anybody except for the robot and Keith David.
Yes. I love how it was
when he says
Keith David.
Yeah, it's the actual guy, not a character that he's played by. It's Keith David, the actor, who's also your vice president.
Yeah, because
he played the guy in the first game. He played him. And he was like, no, it's just Keith David.
Yeah, they had the whole thing that Saints Row 4 begins with you stop a missile and you become president, and your vice president is literally Keith David.
Mm.
And they even have an interaction with his past character where he's like, wow, he sounds just like me.
When I did that mission, I carried it. You could do a thing to carry your character over from Saints Row 3. And so when I started that mission, I did that. But at the end, it didn't have all the outfits from Saints Row 3, so my character had no pants. So it puts you right into like fighting aliens with these big guns. So I'm doing it and like boxer shorts and a suit jacket.
The boss heard the phrase "Emperor is wearing no clothes" and took it literally.
It made me feel like, well, now it would feel like Dungeon Crawler Carl. Anybody ever heard of that?
Kate just got me the book of that because I'm going to sit down and read it.
Yeah. I'm about to dig into the audiobook of it. I've heard the audiobook's a lot of fun.
I've done, the audiobooks are great. I've done them all.
Oh, okay.
Like, twice. I've done all the audiobooks that are out twice.
Nice.
And I'm on my third run of them right now.
Nice.
So I mentioned about like Jack Thompson, like, does he relax? There's a really good book by David Kushner called Jacked, which is about the history of Grand Theft Auto. And the way the story in that runs is like you have chapters about what's going on at Rockstar North specifically, and then the ones where they talk about Jack Thompson. What's really fascinating is David Kushner had a bunch of interviews with Jack, and in his like estimations, like Jack kind of comes off like when he's not doing this as like a super chill guy. Like he's just like a really like he comes off in that book as being like kind of a relaxed guy when he's not doing this, who's like trying to do well by his son. And when people like check, because people check in with him every once in a while, and like I know that years ago like Destructoid did an interview with Jack Thompson, and it's like people check in on him after he got disbarred and like just to see how he's doing. And he talks about like his anger being a lot more muted and like kind of being like a pretty relaxed like guy. But I can never disassociate that from like this stuff, like the fact that he was so much of a bully and like harassing people that it's hard to see him as like someone who's like, okay, I'm gonna listen to like 70s rock in between sending countless harassing messages to like judges and lawyers and accusing them of like corruption and bribery, and like he accused like Blank Rome of like leveraging the Bush. They have somehow influence over the Bush administration and leveraging that against Jack. Like he was an angry guy. Angry guy who had like all of these webs of conspiracy against him.
Yeah, I kind of see it. Like, I feel like we've all met someone like that where it's like, oh, they're very nice just as long as you don't mention this one political thing they're a huge crank over. Like, I could see him being one of those people.
Yeah.
Well, there's people who I've worked with too in the past who like when you're talking to them about business, they get like really aggressive. I mean, not nowadays, but like I've worked with people like that who are like, get really aggressive and kind of berate you, but then when you're just having a chat between tasks, they're like very kind and like want to hang out and chat with you. And it's like, what is happening? Like, what makes you able to compartmentalize this way? And I don't even know if it's healthy.
It's probably not.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. It's like, and also we're talking about like, I just picture Jack Thompson, Kevin, you mentioned, with like kicking his feet up and listening to some 70s rock on his sweet headphones while also drafting angry emails to all the people he's pissed off at.
Yeah.
Like, that's his hobby.
Yeah, maybe he enjoys it so much he's got to get some tunes going while he's doing it.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah, I could totally see like the Breaking Bad montage of him doing legal action while that song plays. Just
I need to get in the zone.
Oh, a Zeppelin box set. Thank you so much, honey. I'm going to file so many lawsuits to this one.
Ooh, fish.
Yeah. Yeah, he's just sitting there like posting the angriest thing on Game Politics, like ramble on.
He steps away from his typewriter, puts on a bucket hat, and goes to a Dave Matthews Band concert.
Yeah.
Comes back with his face painted, It's like...
Yeah.
Yeah, to whom it may concern.
Yeah. Putting on his Bermuda shorts and his Hawaiian shirt. Gonna go see Jimmy tonight.
Yeah, so we gotta hang out with the parrot heads.
Whispering
Getting
under
mad at Margaritaville because they have an arcade game in the lobby. He's like, no, not here, not here. It's one place that's still safe.
He's trying to unplug it, sir.
Jack, you need to take that outside. Never.
This is too violent. These ghosts are trying to eat him.
All right, this has been a lot of fun, and if you want to check out more fun stuff, I recommend you check out Jay's show, I'm From the Internet, Any plugs you want to do, Jay?
Thank you. Yeah, I do have a couple episodes there about video game history that I think your listeners might be like it. One I did recently, episode 120, Never Be Game Over. It's from 2015. It's where a bunch of Metal Gear Solid fans basically drove themselves crazy, being convinced that there was a third act in the game that they needed to unlock. And like, not to spoil it, but at one point, someone breaks into a building that turns out to be literally like an NSA like surveillance center because they thought that was like where the game was telling them to go. It is a good capital G gamers episode. And I guess a lighter one too is I did the one before that's called The World of Nintendo Complaints Box. I dug up this like late 90s Nintendo fan site where they had like user submitted stories, and it's just very fun hearing all these unsupervised children talking about like, I got in a fight with my brother when we lost it, and then I broke his nose, we had to go to the hospital, but I'm still allowed to play video games. Just very cute and like aimless kind of meandering stories. Oh, and Home of the Underdogs is a good one too. It's about a abandonware website that anyone of my generation's age probably got video games off of there before torrenting existed. It's a great trip down memory lane, and also sort of a good case for abandonware as a concept. So yeah, take a look.
Awesome. Yeah, stuff is really cool. I think one of my favorites is the Juice, the Fenazabad
Oh
episode.
gosh, yes. Fenazepam, yeah. All our episodes on drugs are some of our best, but they're also some of our most extremes. Like those episodes literally have a body count. So, you gotta be in the right mindset. But if you are, it is a real roller coaster.
Yeah, those are a lot of fun. Yeah, I highly recommend check out I'm From the Internet. So next time we'll continue the exploits of one John Bruce Thompson as he takes on Rockstar and Take-Two all the way to losing his ability to practice law. And that will do it for today's episode of Scandalous Games. If you like what we're doing and want to help the show, subscribe or follow us wherever you get your podcasts and leave us a rating. If you want to learn more, check out our website, scandalousgamespodcast.wordpress.com, where I publish the show notes and the sources for every episode. Our theme music is Occam Sequel by Seek Knowledge via the Free Music Archive. Used under a CC BY NCSA 3.0 US license. If you have a question, comment, or idea for a topic for a future episode, email us at scandalousgamespodcast@gmail.com. And until next time, I'm Kevin Impellizeri.
I'm Kate.
I'm Ryan Lever.
And I'm special guest Jay Brandstetter.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you next Scandal. Subscribe to Fat Roll Gaming on YouTube and listen to So We Were Talking About Beast Wars wherever you get your podcasts.